Hey guys, so today's little itty bitty new thing is just working with equations amongst polygons. And by that I mean, when we have a situation that kind of looks like this and we're trying to solve for x, we can create equations that can help us figure out the solution. And there's a couple steps involved in this process. So these steps will make some more sense when we actually talk about some examples, but until then, we will just talk over them briefly. So the first thing you want to do is find the interior angle sum, and in order to do that, that's where our formula comes in. All right, our 180 times n minus 2, and that is going to tell us what all of the angles inside are going to add up to. The next part is when we actually do add up all of those angles and set them equal to our interior angle sum, which is what we're going to get in this answer from our first step. All right, and then once you create that equation, you can go ahead and solve for x. Okay, so like my example here, if I followed this process, I would have 2x plus x plus 2x plus 3x. That would add up to 8x. And then the 200s here will add up to 200. Okay, and then for this one, if I actually did it on this problem, I know there's 6 sides here, so if I did 180 times 6 minus 2, that equals 180 times 4. That's going to give me an angle sum of 720. So that's what I would put here, and then I would proceed to solve this equation for x. All right, so just as a little example. So let's try 2 practice problems here. My first one, there's something to notice here. This won't always be the case, but it is nice when it is the case because it gives us a shortcut. Hopefully you would notice all these little tick marks, and that tells us that all the sides on this pentagon are congruent. And if all of the sides are congruent, that also means all the angles are congruent as well. So if they're telling me that this angle is 9x plus 18, so are all the other ones. Right, so, but we're just gonna go ahead and start and follow our steps. So step 1 was to find the interior angle sum using this formula. So 180 times n minus 2. Our n here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because there are 5 sides. So I'll plug in a 5 here, and then minus 2. So essentially this turns into 180 times 3. So that is going to give us an answer of 540 degrees. So that is what all 5 angles are definitely going to add up to in this shape. Step 2 is to then use the information in the picture and this to create an equation that we can eventually solve. Now the reason why it's nice that all of these angles are equal is because when we go to add all of them up, we can just say that there are 5 of them and multiply it by 5. Now, if that was not the case, and you'll see what I mean in the next example, you would have to write out a lot more stuff. But for now, this is going to work just fine. And the answer from part 1 is going to come into play here. Basically, we just mathematically stated that when we add all of these together or multiply this by 5, which is the same thing here for us, that is going to equal 540. We don't know what x is, but whatever it is, we know it's going to help this equal 540. All right, the last step here is going to be to actually solve that equation. Okay, so I would start by distributing if that's a thing for you. It's not always going to be, but in this case it is. So 5 times 9 is 45, well, 5 times 9x is 45x. 5 times negative 18 is going to be negative 90. Okay, so now this is just an algebraic problem. We want to get x by itself, so let's go ahead and start solving by adding 90 to both sides. We want to move it away from that x term. So on the left, we end up with 45x, and on the right, we end up with 630. So now, we're almost there. We just have to get, through one more step, and we will get x by itself. Now, since 45 and x are being multiplied, we got to divide both sides by 45 to get x alone. So if you do 630 divided by 45 in your calculator, you will get a final answer of 14. All right, and that is it for that problem. So just make sure that you follow these steps and you should be okay. Next up, we have another problem where now all of the angles are not equal. So you'll see how the process is slightly different. The first step is the same though, 180 times n minus 2. Now in this case, our n is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so I'll put a 6 here. And then we'll simplify this. We know that that's the same as 180 times 4. So this is going to have an angle sum of 720. Okay, so we know all these angles will add up to 720. Next, we will go ahead and actually create our equation. So here's the deal. If we were to add all of these, we can go ahead and write them all down. So we can say x plus 2, that's this one, plus x minus 8, plus x plus 7, plus x minus 3, plus x plus 6, plus x minus 4. Oop. All right, and that's all going to equal the 720 that we found out from the last step. So once we get to this point, we got to start combining like terms and then solving after that. An easy way to do that, in my opinion, would be to just look at the picture, honestly, and add all your terms. So you're like, okay, well, I know that there's an x here, an x here, 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 and here. So if I said x plus x plus x plus x plus x plus x, there are a total of 6 x's. So I'm going to say, all right, well, 6x. And then if I add all the numbers, so I can say 2, well, minus 8 plus 7 minus 3 plus 6 minus 4. That's something you can use your calculator for. So let's go ahead and enter those. So we got the 2 minus 8 plus 7 minus 3 plus 6 and minus 4. Oops. So, just check 6 terms, press enter, and oh, my button is stuck. All right, I fixed it. Press enter, and we get 0. That's funny. So it won't always zero out, but in this case it did. So technically that's a plus 0. And then equals, that's ugly, equals 720. I'll just carry that from before. And now we can go ahead and solve. Now the nice thing here is that plus 0 means absolutely nothing to us. We are welcome to ignore it. So this is the same as 6x equals 720. So in order to get x alone, since it's being multiplied by 6, we could just divide both sides by 6. And so 720 divided by 6 is going to give us an answer of 120. All right, so our final answer here is then 120 for x. All right, and that is all. Make sure you know how to do this for the test, if any of you are actually watching this video. Yep, that is it.